For the next hour, you can listen to our show. It's called Ask Brien, Brien. We have every month. He's maybe considered one of America's best digital internet marketing people. I just loved him when he was on last month. Jay Berkowitz is with us out of Florida. What city, Jay, are you in? What city?
Boca Raton.
Oh, baby. Isn't that where Trump hangs out? You and Trump hanging out over there?
No, he's up in a little bit of fancier area up in Palm Beach.
Oh, okay. Well, I know you're in a nice area of the country. So thanks for being with us all day today. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very special show for me because I met this lady many, many years ago. Not that many years ago, but a few years ago. Jen Gerard is her name. Jen Gerard is her name. So if you live in Santa Clarita, you probably know the name. The cosmetic company is also named after her, Gerard Cosmetics, correct?
Yes.
How do you say that? Am I saying it properly?
Exactly. Properly, yes.
There's the microphone,
yes.
girl. Let me get it closer to you right there.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Okay.
Lord have mercy. So I wanted her on today because some of you, and I know some of you out there, and I know a lot of you are listening, so thank you for that. You text and email me. So a lot of fans of our show called Ask Brien, Mr. Brien Johnson. So this is a lady that started with nothing and built a multi-million-dollar business. And not only does she have a multi-million-dollar business, but she gives back to the community, back to our community here in Southern California in the Santa Clarita Valley. So I want her to share her story with you because maybe one of you out there is having a tough day, a tough week, even a tough month. Maybe some of you out there are stressing out about your life. You can't figure out what you're going to do with your life. Here's the day to just call a timeout and listen to Jen's voice. Listen to her inspire you because do you think coming up when you were in high school, did you think you would be here today? Did you think you would be where you are?
Lord, no, absolutely not.
So let's start with your story. So I don't know how old you are, but to me you look like you're 25, but that's fine. At what age did you start? Well, you started with teeth whitening first, right?
I did, yes.
And
I
your
was
teeth
41.
Are nice and white. Do I have any shot to get my teeth?
Of course,
yeah.
Yes, of course.
You were 41 when you started?
Yes, I'm 49.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so to me, I don't know age. You just look young.
Class of '86, Canyon High.
They're Cowboys.
The
yeah. Cowboys.
That's right.
That a girl. So how did you start? Tell us how you started.
Well, I was working at a job that I was absolutely miserable and went home crying pretty much every day at the time. And I think I just made a decision that I didn't really care about money. I didn't care about having driving a fancy car, living in a fancy house. I didn't care about any of that. I just wanted to make my own decisions. I wanted to, I'm not much of a morning person, I'll confess. So I did not want to have an alarm clock. I didn't like people telling me what I had to wear and where I had to be and when and who I had to be around. And some people are not very nice. I mean, most people are really nice, but some people are not so much. And I think I worked for all of them.
So you wanted your financial independence.
Yes.
And I don't think owning a home or even owning your business is the American dream. I think just what you said, I think calling your own shots is the American dream. And you put yourself in that position to do that. So I want to hear the story. You're listening to KHTS 1220. The show is called Ask Brien. I'm here with the owner of Ask Brien, Brien Johnson. So what do you think of this website called Ask Brien? So you go to this site, and you as a business lady, owner, entrepreneur, can get any question answered, intimate questions that maybe you don't want to ask your husband or your friend, things that when you started in business years ago, maybe you didn't have somebody you can turn to. Well, you can go to this website, askbrien.com, and there's Jay's on there. Jay's an expert. So come up with a question here in a minute. We'll ask Jay a question and see if we can stump him. Right?
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, let's ask him a question. So, first of all, what is your website?
Well, we have two. So, whiteninglightning.com, that was my original brand of teeth whitening products. And Gerard Cosmetics is the larger brand.
Whitening Lightning. How come I couldn't come up with that? What a great name. Check that out, Jay. If you're on the internet, go to that website, Whitening Lightning. What is it?
Whitening Lightning.
Whitening Lightning.
Yes.
I need white teeth like you have. All right, so let's go back. You're 41, and you decide this is it. How do you come up with teeth whitening? Because that's just when everybody wanted to get their teeth white about 10 years ago, right?
Yeah, at the time, I really didn't want to leave the house. I was having a lot of anxiety and stuff like that. And there was one friend that I trusted, and so I would go and hang out with him, during the day sometimes at another friend's office, and he was unemployed at the time, so we could just kind of be close to each other, which was good. We'd worked together a long time, and we're close friends. And so he was flipping through Costco magazine, and he saw an ad for to buy a home teeth whitening business. And he's like, "Hey, do you want to start a teeth whitening company?" And I'm like, "Okay, but I think you got to stick your hands in people's mouths and stuff, and that sounds really gross. I don't think I'm down for that." I'm like, "Are you going to do that?" He's like, "Sure." So
that's how you started?
That's how we started.
Okay, so I don't really think I understand teeth whitening. I don't really want to get in the weeds in that, but yours was a home kit. So who built the website?
Well, we would go to people's homes and offices and whiten their teeth.
Oh, you would?
Mm-hmm.
That's how you, wow.
I whiten teeth in parking lots.
Can you white my teeth after the show?
Well, I don't have anything on me, but but maybe later.
The show's called Ask Brien. You're listening to award-winning KHTS Radio. You can listen to us online at hometownstation.com or a fabulous app. Isn't it a great app?
Yes, Jen? I love the mobile app.
The mobile app is go to your app store and just type in KHTS 1220 AM. It'll pop up, and our wonderful guest in our first segment is Jen Gerard of Gerard Cosmetics. So, all right, so your friend, you and I, you sit down, and he's looking at, that's incredible. He's looking at this ad. So you start, and what happens after you start?
He quit immediately.
Wow. So now you're by yourself?
Yeah.
And then what do you do?
Well, he's back in the car business. He sells me cars now, so he doesn't mind. But,
okay.
But at some point...
you're going door to door, business to business.
Much.
Okay.
I mean, pretty much. At some point, I decided that I was going to come out with my own line of products and just do my own thing instead of, using somebody else's products.
You were an affiliate.
Yes.
Okay.
And that seemed like it made more sense to me. So I came out with these whitening pens, and, I would go to the Chamber of Commerce mixer, and I would leave the house with a baggie full of whitening pens. They weren't even in a box. They were in a Ziploc baggie.
Wow.
And I would come home with a purse full of cash and no whitening pens. And I was like, hey, people are buying these things, and I didn't even have to do the treatment. I didn't have to lug my equipment, and I think I could just maybe sell these online. And, if I just made enough to cover my bills, I'd have been happy, and I could be home with my dog in my pajamas. And I was like, hey, that sounds good to me. So that's what I did.
What is it about your makeup? If you were going to bottle Jen Gerard, would it be persistence? What would it be that people listening to your voice and your story could maybe model?
I think it's attention to detail, and this is going to sound hilarious coming out of my mouth because I'm the least patient person in the world, but patience. Because when it comes to product development, some products fall together the first try. 2 or 3 weeks, you're like, oh my God, I've got it. This is fantastic. And some products take 2 years. And you have to be able to say, no, this is not what I want. I know what I want. Keep working at it. And you can drive the chemists and stuff crazy trying to get a particular shade exactly the way you want it, but if you don't get it exactly the way you want it, it's probably not going to hit the way
the pen is the pen. Could I go on Whitening Lightning and buy that pen?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to do that. You're listening to Ask Brien, BRIEN.com. So if you were new in business, what question would you have gone to Ask Brien on? It's a great looking website, getting better every week. What question do you think you would have asked back in the day?
I think it probably would have been a lot related to the business end of it, developing a website. I pretty much figured out that since I didn't have any money, I had to use social media. So I figured out how to use social media, to my benefit. But in terms of the first couple of websites we had were really bad. One wouldn't take orders from Internet Explorer. Everybody was using Internet Explorer back then. And I mean, it's hard because you don't speak that language. But as a business owner, you have to be fairly well versed at a lot of things. And
that's where the site Ask Brien, because we have Jay. Let's bring you in for a second. So I like what Jen just said. So how does one go about selecting a website? Because that's always been my challenge. I go through web builders it's one of the most, what Jen just said to me is one of the most frustrating things for me in my own life. I have a new product coming out, new idea coming out. I need a web builder. These sites like GoDaddy or some of these other sites, are they real websites or what?
I hate them. That's one of my pet peeves. Everyone's coming to us with these GoDaddy sites or Wix sites. And, that's a good site if you're like a 14-year-old kid and you're selling your lemonade stand or something. But really, if you want a website today, 40% of the websites going up are built in WordPress. And WordPress originally was a blogging platform, but there's 20,000 people who can help you with a WordPress website today. All the basic, all the good programmers can do a basic WordPress website. And the best thing about it is Google loves it. So it's going to be something you can manage yourself and update yourself, and it's great for the search engines.
Are you saying Google loves these GoDaddy and Wix?
No. He said WordPress.
Oh, Google loves WordPress.
Yeah,
okay.
I hate the GoDaddies and Wixes because they're just not friendly for the search engines, and they're so basic and they're template driven.
Got it. Okay. So when you go back to your life, starting you did all this in 9 years?
I've been in business a little over 7 years. Yeah,
7 years. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So the whitening takes off. But you didn't answer your question. I'm going to try to get it out of you again. I want to bottle Jen Gerard, okay? I want the listeners to go, wow, if she can do it, I can do it. You said you were patient, which I think is huge. But when you're starting a new business, that's like the toughest thing in the world is to be patient.
Yeah. I think, where I was at that point in my life, it didn't occur to me that I could fail or would fail, and I wasn't afraid to fail. So I think that's huge because I think we put so much into, what if I go for this and it doesn't work out? And then all my friends and family and all the people who know me are going to know that I'm a loser and I failed at something. We all fail over and over and over again, and we probably fail every single day. I know I do. At certain things. So I think you just can't have that fear.
Well, first of all, I think that's a great point you want to make out. Most successful people in life have failed. Bill Gates with Microsoft, that was not his first endeavor. His first endeavor had to do with putting these little traffic signal things. So when you're driving your car and you go, dot, 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 those little things, he was working on that. That was his first thing. He didn't come out with Microsoft. And the person who created Uber, he actually originally started out with a file-sharing program similar to Napster when he was a young kid.
Oh, Lord.
Okay, and my understanding is he was sued for like $250 billion.
Oh gosh.
Okay, this is a true story. With I saw on YouTube by the creator and founder of Uber. Then he started another company that he had a lot of tribulations, whatever. He actually was able to sell it for some money, but it wasn't until later on that he was able to create Uber. And look at Ray Kroc. Ray Kroc was in his 50s. So the fact of the matter is, in terms of failure is just a learning lesson to create more success. The fact that you were able to go through it from start to finish and be in a position where you succeeded on your first try, that's amazing. That's an amazing accomplishment. I think confidence has a lot to do with it, and I think the fact that you cannot not have any fear. If you have any fear, I think that's a problem. Jay, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, there's one sort of turnaround pivot success story I love. Does anybody remember a podcasting website called Odeo?
No.
Not familiar.
So Odeo was this great podcasting platform, and by July 2005, they had this incredible platform, and all the cool kids were putting their podcasts on there. And then Apple decided podcasts would be free. And they were pretty much out of business, except they had this inter-office communication tool that you could only put 140 characters in. And they launched it and called it Twitter, and the rest is history.
Wow,
that's a pretty good story.
Twitter.
But
well, then Twitter should be thankful for Steve Jobs.
Time out. Jen Gerard's our wonderful guest for the whole hour. So is Jay Berkowitz in Boca Raton, Florida, and he's an expert in digital marketing. And Jen Gerard, she's just an expert in being a great lady, a great entrepreneur, and a great citizen here in Santa Clarita Valley. It's interesting. Get a facial from Kendra, who you know,
yes.
and she says,
awesome.
who's on the show today? And I said, Jen. She said, oh, my God. Another lady, Lisa, I know you're listening to the show. She said, who's on the show today? I said, Jen Gerard. She said, oh, my God. Everybody, you've made such an impact in this community. Jerry, I know, is listening, and, of course, that's our pal. Back to bottling what you have. So one of the things that I might take away, but I want to get your opinion, is you didn't care at the end of the day about the money. You only cared about doing what was right for your clients.
Yes.
You weren't focused on what I would call the scoreboard. You were focused on playing the game.
Yes. Yeah, I think I probably was
Can I use that
way
analogy?
less focused on money than I should have been.
No, but you cared about people. You wanted to make sure that their teeth got white properly. You wanted to make sure that your products worked, and you weren't counting every nickel and dime at the end of the day. You just want to do what was right for people.
Well, and I think you have to do that, especially if you're in a consumer-based business. If you do what's right for your customer 100% of the time, it's going to end up being right for you.
So the website's still working, Whitening Lightning, right?
Yes.
People are still whitening their teeth, and that's now. I don't know how this stuff works. I mean, nobody was whitening their teeth 15 years ago.
Yes.
Today, it's a part of everybody's life. I look at my teeth. I'm buying this toothpaste. I'm going to go on your site and buy a pen. How do you go from Whitening Lightning to now cosmetics? How does that bridge get built?
Well, we actually had cosmetics on the Whitening Lightning site going back as early as, I think, 2011 or 2012. And at some point, we came out with these lip glosses that were really great. They're super high pigmentation and fairly long wearing for gloss. And it was a completely different animal from other glosses that were on the market. And they really hit with a lot of the YouTube makeup artists. Instagram was still really new back then. And one of our bloggers actually made the suggestion to me that people loved our makeup, that our makeup was amazing, but because it was from a whitening company, people didn't take it as seriously, and that we should put it under its own brand. And that really made a lot of sense to me. We were actually driving back from San Diego. We picked the domain, Gerard Cosmetics. I bought it in the car on the way home, and we launched a company 1 year later.
You made a comment about Twitter, which I want to get back to, but when I met you about then, 2011, 2012. Mm-hmm. You were talking about YouTube. So aren't you popular on YouTube?
Yeah, people, that's how Gerard Cosmetics is really, we're called an indie brand, Instagram brand, but yeah, we got our start on YouTube and Instagram. We have about 1.6 million followers on our Instagram. Our brand's been viewed hundreds of millions of times on YouTube, both Whitening Lightning and GC. And we're just an independent, mom and pop brand, but we're out there competing with, MAC and all the brands at Sephora. So
Let me catch my breath. We're talking to Jen Gerard on KHTS. The show is called Ask Brien, and I'm not kidding you. We get the best guest every week. We have ever since we start the show. Today is no different. We have Jay Berkowitz, our digital marketing guru in Florida. So, Jay, did you hear what Jen just said? 1.6 million followers. Hello.
That's spectacular.
How do you do that, Jay? How do you do that?
Very carefully.
Well, the best way to do it is with content. And if Jen didn't have great content and great products, and get out there on a regular basis and post on a regular basis, there'd be no chance. So if you're just starting out, don't knock yourself out if you don't have 1.6 million to start, but just put great content out on a regular basis, engage with people, follow other people, they'll follow you back. It's pretty much basic blocking and tackling gets you there in the long run. All right.
We're going to draw you out a little bit more. I'm going to draw Jen out. Jen Gerard, our special guest on AskBrien.com. So what did you do on YouTube? Tell me your first week on YouTube. Was it a skit that you what did you do?
Well, we've never had a YouTube channel. So
stop it, girl.
Yes. What we did was we sent the products to makeup and beauty gurus that already had channels and had existing audiences, and they would show the products to their audience.
So she used influencers, basically is the term.
Yeah, we were real
marketing.
early in influencer marketing. The big brands were laughing at me a few years ago. They're not laughing now.
They're all doing it now.
Yes.
Interesting. We'll come back and discuss that a little bit. So you took your product, sent it out to the people already using other products, and for some reason they liked your product. It worked. So when I get back, my question is, how much testing did you do? I mean, everything just couldn't be based on luck. And you said earlier that you're interested in the details, which I love. But I want to find out how you came about testing. How did you know that this was going to work? We're going to come right back on Ask Brien. Our show is being produced by the fabulous one and only Aaron. And we'll be right back.